growing up, was wrestling something you watched as a kid? Was that something that you turned on one day? It was like, man, I want to do this.
Not at all. In fact, I didn't even really know what wrestling was. It wasn't that big where I grew up. Nobody talked about it. It was something I had discovered when I actually moved to LA.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was just nothing that, yeah, I want to grow up and be a wrestler and not even, or I want to be an actress. None of that. Just none of that at all.
None of it out. Okay,
Mhm.
so acting, I'm sure, it was something that you kind of fell into years later. What was it about acting that made you go, this is pretty fascinating. I want to give this a shot.
Okay, are you saying acting as in glow acting or acting in general?
In general, because
Oh,
one thing leads to another, and I think pro wrestling and acting kind of go hand in hand because you're learning a lot. How to improv and working with different producers and writers, and so I'm sure the world of acting definitely helped prepare you for working on Glow.
not at all. In fact, I never got into acting. I'm going to tell you what prepared me for it. When you're a hairdresser and you have clients and you have different personalities, you're an actor. You have to basically, you're like, to me, you're in front of the camera there. That's your client. You have to do their hair good, so you got to be really good, and you have to learn to tell stories. So and that's why I'm saying being a hairdresser kind of opened the door for so much more than I think acting could have ever. I never wanted to be an actress. Never. I
Well,
kind of wanted to be on the other end of producing and creating and that. But so, yeah, to be a hairdresser, you have to be an actress or an actor.
who would have thought, just out of the blue, just any job could land you something that was just that much bigger in life?
You know what? I never saw that coming. I never even thought I would ever grow up and be a wrestler. Like, if you were to ask me as a kid, that is just nothing I would have done or said.
Well, let's talk about, you talk about preparing to be an actress, from
Mhm.
hairdressing. What was the exact moment where you kind of got discovered, somebody or made the suggestion, hey, this is something you might want to check out?
Okay, that was actually me moving to LA, and I was watching WWF at the time, and I really liked it because I saw the women and the men. It was just something like, okay, this kind of has my attention. Like, what is this? And then, and I bring that story into the Matilda Hunt story where I say that's where I discovered Glow. So after WWF, I would watch Glow, and it was like a lightning bolt hit. I'm just like, what is this? Where is this? How can I be a part of this? Once I saw it, and if anybody knows me, I get very obsessed until I really can either I'll try out until I get a no or a F you go away, but I will keep doing it and keep doing it and until. So there was actually a phone number and it said if you want to be a glow wrestler. So I called the number and I got an audition. Now I found out there was 3,500 girls that tried out for it, and so I'm not really the auditiony actress type or whatever. But I know if I would have heard that number, I probably would have folded. I don't think I would have done it. That's kind of scary number. So I just kind of went in to the audition just, as a character. So I gave myself a character for the audition. So just getting in there and getting seen and getting picked was pretty cool.
Well, was Glow your first acting job?
Yeah. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I think it's very funny when a lot of the Glow girls were actresses and they had agents and they had, you know, I didn't have any of that. I was just winging it. I winged it all the way to Glow. So
Well,
I'm kind of like it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. That's all I can say.
it's kind of interesting that, you watch the WWE, WWF, and you're just like that hooked by it right away, and you just see
Yeah.
what's going on, like these two
Yeah.
men or two women, they're taking matters into their own hands essentially,
Yeah.
and so you kind of get caught up in it. And then this was during a time when I think pro wrestling was huge because you had so many companies. You had the
Yeah.
WWE, you had NWA, you had the Crockett's, you had Glow, and so many different promotions. Memphis, St. Louis,
Hmm.
so many places for people to work, and it was a boom period because everywhere you went, you'd see
Yeah.
so many stars. So
Well, I have to say though, the thing that stuck out with Glow though for me is that when I saw it, there was Matilda the Hun, Mount Fiji. There was like all like shapes and sizes and personalities, and it wasn't just like okay, you like WWF. I noticed that a lot of muscle guys made it back then. You had your big guys. With Glow, it wasn't like that. It was just very. Felt Glow was kind of like, hey, if she can do it, I can do it, and that's kind of how it was, and that's how I felt. I felt like I could fit into Glow. I never thought I could fit into WWF, or nor did I want to. I knew I could fit into Glow if I had the chance.
also too, I feel like Glow made such an impact in terms of women's wrestling and the market for it because it inspired a generation of women's wrestlers that
Yeah,
got into it. So
yeah.
it's that representation I feel was just as important. And
Mhm.
when you're auditioning, because you said 3,000 people, you're basically, having to really prove yourself and stand out among the pack. So when you audition, talk to me about getting in the ring, working with all these different people. Because
Yeah.
I gotta imagine when you're taking those bumps on the mat for the first time, it hurts. So, and it's not easy. So, walk me through the process and your experience with learning how to wrestle and getting through the audition process.
Okay, so my thing is like, have you ever wanted something so bad that nothing hurt? That you just had tunnel vision of just being a glow girl. That's what it was like for me. So I remember, Matt Simber, he I always kind of joke he'd stand back there with his straw and chew his straw and kind of look at us, and I always felt like kind of a little insecure because you had beautiful Sally the farmer's daughter, and you had Hollywood Godiva came in later with her long blonde hair, and then I just had this ratty bleach permed hair, and I'm just like, how am I going to fit into this? Well, I have to stand out somehow. So um, I think I had a very good, funny personality, and I feel like I got along with everybody. And what I did is I worked really hard. So I started running because I wanted to be able to breathe in the ring. I didn't smoke, which is a very good thing for me because I had stamina in the ring, and I did study other wrestlers. I did do everything I thought I should do. Um, but I wasn't a gymnast, and I honestly I remember it's kind of like how did I actually I mean when we started out we take our bumps and we hit the mat. You start out on the ground. So you get actually that hit, that and you feel. When you actually do it, it is so different. But then it was just like I got obsessed. I wanted to have the perfect bump. I wanted it to be loud. I wanted it to be just really good. So I would just go in there and just flip myself over. I don't know to this day how I thought I was going to get my feet over my head. When you're not a gymnast, and I know we started out with handstands, and that kind of, there was a whole process with that. And we had Debbie, who was the cheerleader, Naninchka, that trained us, and they were actually very, very good. But it was kind of like, go, go, like you hit the ropes, go, go. So I felt like, when you're under that much pressure, I thrive under pressure. I do so much better under pressure. If I'm not, if somebody's yelling at me, I'm kind of like, I'll show you, I'll tell you, I'll show you. So I don't take anything bad. I don't get my feelings hurt. I'm just like, I'll show you.